Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. My name is Jackson Mummy, and each week we'll be bringing you updated information about the bar exam and what you need to do in order to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. Ready to get started? Let's jump to it. Hey, everybody, welcome. Today is Wednesday, January 18th, and we are 5 weeks until the bar exam. Is that crazy or what? Glad to be with you all today. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to all of you on the panel. This is fun. I get to have these big panels of people now to help me answer questions. And we've got lots of great stuff to share with you today. We've got a big announcement today about boot camp. And so I'm pretty excited about that. I have for many years used the 30-day point as a scheduled pit stop. I try to take the weekend and just get away and recenter myself because I know that the last 30 days are pretty intense. So this weekend is that weekend for me. I'll be back on Monday and ready to get at it hard. One of the things I would say to all of you is it's not a bad idea to take a few moments, a scheduled pit stop here. I think most of you probably would benefit from it. Amanda, is that good advice to take a little bit of a break right before you hit that 30-day mark?
Yeah, I would agree that it's nice to take a little bit of a break. And I think that it's interesting. I think the July bar examiners, they have it a little better, right? Because they have a like holiday in there or something. They
Yeah,
go home to see
yeah.
the families. And then we're starting to say 4th of July, maybe not go home, right? But in February, there's no like marker for the February bar. But yeah, you don't necessarily have to go on a 4-day weekend. But even if you just take a day for yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
just watch movies that have nothing to do with the law.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The other thing that I'm really excited to talk about today is boot camp. Boot camp is something that we've done for years, and then COVID came along. We couldn't do it. And then in October, June and I scrambled and we put together a boot camp and we did it in Florida, and it was very successful. We had a great session, small with just, I think, 10, 15 students. It really went well. Now, this year, we've decided I have relocated to Denver, Colorado, because I apparently like snow. But in any event, here I am. And we've decided to do boot camp here in Denver. Actually, we're doing it in a little town outside of Denver. It's Parker, Colorado. And we're at the Parker Arts Center.
Art cooperative
Yeah,
center.
there you go. And we're doing it May 19th and 20th. That's a Friday and Saturday. And I'm really excited because June will be there as always. I'll be there, but Tracy will be there as well. Let me just tell you a little bit about boot camp. This will be a 2-day experience. We're going to limit it to 15 students again. We're going to keep it small because we really like the smaller size. I'm going to teach you photo reading. If you've never photo read, I will teach it to you in a few hours. We're going to then apply photo reading and show you how to create mind maps. We're going to show you how to write essays and performance tests if you're in a performance test jurisdiction. We're going to do mindset coaching. We're going to have some special guest speakers. It is a fabulous opportunity to just get so much training and good stuff in very quickly. And it's very affordable. The normal price for boot camp is $3,000. There's an early bird $1,000 discount. And basically, all you have to do is put down a deposit to reserve your seat. And the deposit is fully refundable. And then you'll pay your balance. And we've got a deadline date in April to pay your balance. And we'll be here May 19th and 20th, having said all that. I am very excited about boot camp. I'm excited about bringing everybody in and having this opportunity. And I know we've had a lot of people go through boot camp. And one of the interesting things is the people that go to boot camp tend to be the ones that pass the bar. So there is a connection. It makes a difference. There you go. This is first come, first serve. And I expect for the May 19th and 20th boot camp, we will sell out. That would be my expectation. Colorado is a nice, easy place to get to. DI, about 35 minutes, the meeting site from the airport. And we've got several hotels in the area. I particularly like one called Ascent on Main. It's in Parker. It's a great little hotel. We've got some information up there about that. All right. Tracy, you excited about coming to boot camp?
Yes, I am excited. I'm excited to be able to work face to face with students and also listen to what you have to bring to them, Jackson.
Yeah, it should be a fun experience. We're looking forward to it. If you've got questions, reach out, let us know. We've tried to make this as easy as possible for you to register and get in there. And I know, Amanda, you came along during COVID when we couldn't do boot camp. So
I know I missed out, but in my group coaching calls, everyone always talks about it and all they've learned. So I've learned
Yeah.
a lot about boot camp and they have nothing but really amazing things to say.
Yeah. Yeah. So we hope you'll join us for all of that. All right. One final, I don't even know if it's an announcement. I just want to say June, our mindset coach, does this wonderful training called Calming the Chaos. And I think this is the time when people should be registering to take that. It's 4 individual coaching sessions. And June, I'll let you talk about it a little bit because I think it's an important piece of what we can offer students at this stage of their study.
Yeah. So what we see right now and the few weeks leading up to the bar is this is where the fear really sets. And fear loves to fib to us and make us go, we don't got. And it's real easy to give into that and say, oh, I don't know anything. I don't got this. You do got this. If you have been consistent in your course, you are ready. Are you ready today? No. Will you be ready in February 21st? Yes. So don't let your fear voice talk you out of where you need to be. And one thing Calming the Chaos does is work with you on your focus and maintaining your stamina. Because remember, this is a marathon and most of us are trying to sprint really fast right now. We need to slow it down just a bit so that you have the stamina for exam day. There's no good of doing all this study and then you get to the exam day and you crash. So I'm really good at helping you to focus and be accountable and build your confidence, which is you need that to get in there and not get derailed on this exam. I guarantee you, you will get tripped up by a question on this exam. And so what happens is your focus either trips up on that question and stays with you through the whole exam, which causes you to be unsuccessful, or you work with me in Calming the Chaos. You learn how to keep your focus in line and you just brush that question off and you keep going with a mindset that's not derailed. And it's super, super easy. I love to tell the story of Frank. If you were at boot camp, you met Frank. He failed his exam. And he came to me and he said, June, I failed because they set me too close to the men's bathroom. And I said, Frank, that's an excuse. That's not why you failed. And he's, oh, yes, it is. And I'm like, okay, let's work on that. I said, work with me. And I guarantee you, you can sit inside the men's bathroom and pass the exam. Guess what, guys? He passed. So that's what I'm talking about, working on the focus, working on creating your bubble, basically putting your blinders on. Nothing gets into your bubble on exam. Nothing derails you. Nothing upsets you. Nothing, it might afterwards. You can fall apart afterwards. During the exam, you really have to maintain that focus and that clarity. And that's what Calming the Chaos does, is it helps you to get rid of all this outside noise. Just
Sure.
focus on your task at hand and be the best you can be for this exam.
Yeah. And you can register and start your first calls tomorrow with June. There's plenty of time to get those in.
And I know a lot of them go, oh, gee, what can we do in 4 calls? Amanda, what are we doing 4 calls?
So much. Really, it was magic. I was talking about this in group coaching this week that I really think a big part of why I not only passed the exam, but also became a better overall person. And what mean by that, I don't mean like a kinder, nicer person. I'm still the same person I was, but I learned a lot about myself. And who can say most people in the bar exam, they're exhausted, they're jaded, they hate everything, they hate life. If you don't believe me, you can go back in our community page, scroll backwards to February, and look at the post I wrote the day after the exam. I thought it was so amazing. And we only had just a few sessions together. And I think I realized at some point in January that I was like, in maybe through Jackson's coaching, that it was like my mind and anxiety that was getting in the way of me feeling good and being able to take the exam successfully.
Thank you, Amanda. I loved working with you and I still love working with you. And here's the secret, guys. If you're not happy right now, chances of you being successful happy, joyful, excited about this exam, the chances of you being successful, they drop. Okay. My secret is I actually want you to be happy and joyful, not just about this exam, but your life. Because here's the thing, even if you pass and you're like not so great right now, you're going to be happy and joyful and excited for a minute while you're sworn in, and then you're going to go back to yourself. So I want you to really create this great, amazing life going forward as a great, amazing attorney.
It's funny you mentioned that. But Tracy and I are going to talk near the end today about something that she calls the bright and beautiful future. And I think it dovetails perfectly with that. So hold that idea and we'll get back to it and talk about it. All right. I'm going to jump to some questions that we've got there. 5 weeks to go. We've got a theme, obviously, a lot of people trying to figure out what to do and how to go forward. One of the first questions was, does June do one-on-one coaching? As you heard, yes, she absolutely does. Students said, I'm feeling anxious. I'm not in the right mental and emotional state to focus from your test day. There are a lot of challenges I'm dealing with. And so is there someone to talk through and work on strategies how to navigate? Well, yeah, there certainly is. June can do that part, but there's also the group coaching. Hybrid talking about this idea of how to be in the right mental and emotional state to focus for the next 35 days. I'll just put you on the spot right away, Brianna, since you just jumped in here. How did you get your focus for that last 35 days? Do you remember?
It's incredibly difficult right now because everyone is so hyper aware of the looming bar exam. For me, it was so incredibly important to turn off the noise, to turn off the distractions, to turn off social media, to remind myself of my why. I wrote my number that I wanted everywhere. I wrote it on sticky notes, put it on my mirror when I woke up in the morning. I had it on my laptop. I had it in various places as my reminder of what I was going for, what I was going after. When I felt myself becoming anxious about the exam, I would really focus on that why and my mantra and try to do my very best to not even worry about what was going on in the world, anything else that was going on in the world, because it's completely out of your control. The only thing that you can control during this time period right now is your attitude and your effort. And turning off the rest of the world is the only way to help you narrow your focus on the things that you need to get done.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think it's really important. And look, if you're having a challenge with any of that, there's the individual one-on-one coaching in June, but there's a group calls Tracy, Amanda, Brianna, Bob, and June. And all of those are really designed to address that sort of sense of focus and moving forward. And you're going to see in these questions we've got, it's the same theme over and over again. So I'll just jump to the next question because it really builds on that. Another student said, I'm starting to have panic attacks. I hate to hear that. I think that's self-induced, but they said, I feel like I don't have any way out. Stress is getting to me and I wish I could do something about it. I'm going to stop working next week and focus only on my studies. What advice would any of the three of you have for a student who's talking this way about stress being something that it's getting to them and they wish they could do something about it? What's the response to that? I mean, I know you hear it all the time in the group calls. Amanda, you want to jump in there?
Sure. So you have to do something about it, though. If you don't do anything, it will probably keep happening. And
Yeah.
unearthing really why that's happening is super, super important. And I know we keep going back to the group coaching calls and one-on-one coaching with June, but we do talk about that in coaching calls, right? We have had people had breakthroughs in coaching calls saying, you're right, Amanda. Now that I explored it, I asked some questions. Why? What are you thinking about when these are happening? People come to a realization of that, right? I would also go back to what we said last week, that you're putting extra extraneous pressure on yourself, right? The bar does not define you, even if it feels like it's everything right now. And ask yourself, can you handle the worst case scenario? Can you handle that you don't pass? You can. And you will be back here with us if you don't. And maybe that'll help somebody out there. But come to group coaching if you can and let all the coaches or any of the coaches and your peers support you.
In nearly 40 years of law practice, I know stress, and I knew stress every time I appeared in court. And sometimes as a judge, too, it was very stressful. And a little bit of stress can be your ally. Stress keeps you on your toes. And this is the time now to move from being on your heels to being on your toes and really getting prepared. And so you can channel that stress into positive energy. But the way that you temper it, I think, is through mild exercise and drinking water. I think that when you have a panic attack, that's a time to put down all of your tools, all of your pens, all of your iPad, whatever you have, and go for a 10-minute walk. Just change the dynamic, change the paradigm, then come back and start again. And if you're still having panic, then this is not the best time for you to be studying. Go do something healthy. Go do something that allows you to take that stress from a thing that paralyzes you to the thing that motivates you.
Great advice.
If you are dealing with panic attacks, trust me, I used to suffer from debilitating panic attacks. Jackson will tell you I could not move. Okay. I have some simple grounding exercises that you can do during the bar exam. Nobody will know you're doing, and it will help ground you and bring you back to center. Let's talk about this, because until we talk about it, it's just in there and it's a bundle. Once we talk about it, we break free from what's holding us back. And I think once you realize, once it's out in the open, I'm a big, let's talk about it. Let's write about it. It doesn't have the power that we thought it had.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
come tonight and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. All right. Let me keep moving. Next student was, I wanted to know if there's any coaching tutoring one-on-one that focuses on MBE questions. The answer is yes. You can use your coaching calls with me to talk about MBE questions. Typically, it helps if you send me the question in advance so I can look it up and work on it, since I'm not able to deal with 2,100 questions off the top of my head, just randomly as they come up. But yes, we can definitely do that. I would also say that with the MBE, the answer explanations are your friend. That's really where it is. Most of the time, I think Brianna and Amanda would agree to this. Somebody says, why is the answer this? And you look at the answer explanation, and it says why it is. And it's like, you don't like it, but that happens to be why it is that way. And the examiners write the question, and there you go. Don't get too wrapped around the axle. Sometimes it's just, that's the answer. And the examiners have chosen that answer, and it's the best that we've got. But we'll do our best to help and coach you through that. All right, next question's a long one. It's a good one. We had a student that was on the group coaching call with Tracy and said it was a great discussion, appreciated the discussion about braving from Brene Brown. And this student said, I take a lot of notes while listening to the lectures, and I try to almost transcribe them. It's how I stay engaged, awake, and alert. But it's taking longer than I anticipate to get through the lectures, and I don't synthesize. That's true. That transcription is not what we want you to do. And I know Brianna and Amanda were both excellent students, worked really hard, but I don't think either of you transcribed. Am I correct about that? You avoided that. They're both shaking their heads no to that. So transcription is not what we want you to do, and it doesn't synthesize. The skill of synthesizing comes from mind maps. That's really where I think you get that information. So then the student said, try to just listen to your lecture and read the text one slide at a time, pause and summarize what you say in my notes. I still think mind mapping is the better way to go. And what Tracy suggested was to listen to the entire lecture, just taking a look at your mind maps or playing with a fidget toy. I love that idea, fidget toy, just to keep yourself from being anxious. And then go back and either watch the video again or take notes a second time. I think that no matter how you're doing it, when we give you a time frame in the assignment that says 90 minutes for notes, that's really what we mean. So I don't want you spending 2 hours or 3 hours doing notes, because you're coming back to this material multiple times. And if you take too long on one thing, you're just not going to get to the end, and you're not going to have that repetition. Now, this naturally leads to the question of, when should I be done with my substantive study? When do I get to review? My view is that February 10th is a good benchmark. That gives you 11 days of review. And so I guess my question, Brianna, to you is, because you're our time expert, is 11 days enough time to review if you've gone through all the subjects and you get up to that point?
It can absolutely be done for sure. Usually, if I have students come and set up a schedule with me with enough time in advance, I try to get them through their substantive by the end of January. So they have the whole month of February in order to be in that review phase.
Yeah.
Making that comment, though, by any means is not intended to freak anybody out if you are not in that position. I think that you can absolutely get through enough of the material in the review phase, enough tests in order to be able to be prepared for the exam.
Yeah. Amanda, would you agree? Is 10, 11 days enough time?
Plenty of time. And I think that's probably what I used, if that, when I started taking the practice exam. And I do think taking the practice exam and reviewing them, you learn just a ton more, right? We talked about that last week in group coaching as well. Just the act of taking it and reviewing it is great. What else are you going to do, right? You took the practice exams, one or two of them. You're not going to stare there and look at your notes, right? Like over and over again. You can only review so much. So I think that kind of 10 to 14 days is great.
Yeah, I think that's what we've learned is a sweet spot. So I would encourage you to do that. In terms of taking notes during lectures, take some lecture notes for sure, but I would mostly look at your mind map. I think I'd follow that advice that Tracy gave. The student also said, when I'm taking notes, should it be during the lecture concurrently? I think I've answered that. Should I take notes on the laptop, on a Google document, or by hand while mind mapping? Take them whatever way works best for you. I mind map using mindmeister.com. That's because I can't read my handwriting. For those of you that have done coaching calls with me, I know he's writing something, but I have no idea what it is. Meister works really well for me, but whatever method you use, handwriting your mind maps works just as well as typing them. And it's really a question of what feels comfortable for you. I don't think there's much else to add to that. Just stay in your own comfort zone. You don't need to add to your stress by trying to figure out how to do something. Just keep it as simple as you can. Any other thoughts from any of the rest of you?
Yeah, I would say that you should use whatever method to do your mind maps that engages your brain. And what happens when you transcribe every word that's being said is it allows your brain to check out. And then it just becomes something that you're doing almost like working with a fidget toy, but you're not connecting to what you're hearing. And that's why, if that is something that you struggle with and you have trouble synthesizing, that's why I think it's important to just listen to the lecture first. So you know where it's going, you know what the highlights are. And then when you go back and you do your mind mapping, you're listening for those key points. You're listening for the buzzwords. You're listening for those concepts that give you the aha moments. And that's what goes on your mind map, because that's what you're going to recall later.
Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, great. Along the same lines, another student wrote, when I'm reading the outlines, how much detail should I read into them? It usually takes me more than the assigned time. When I try to stick to the time suggested, I'm not able to finish, or if I finish, it feels rushed and I'm not learning the material. Do you have any suggestions? I'll start here, but I know all of our coaches probably have something to say about this. I don't think you should take detailed notes of the outline. The idea is, if you're photo reading, you're doing it in 5 minutes or so. If you're doing a regular read, I'm only giving you 3 hours to read what would normally be a 6 or 8 hour reading assignment. So at best, it's a pretty superficial skim. And the reason is that it's just one part of the learning process. There's the lectures, there's the question practice, there's the repetition. And that's really where the learning comes as you start to synthesize all that, as you've heard, into the mind map. So how much detail should you read them? Not much at all. In my mind, the outlines are like plowing the ground before you plant the seeds and water them and let the sun do its thing. It's just the first step in this process. When you feel like you're not learning the material, what's really happening is your conscious brain isn't learning it, because you're not going super slow and grinding your way through and spending weeks and weeks, which, by the way, still doesn't give you an understanding of the material. The better way is to read fast, or better still, to photo read, and then synthesize it through the lectures, through the questions and the mind maps. Amanda and Brianna, I know both had lots of experience doing this process.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jackson. Even when I have students who are struggling with being able to get through the substantive material, sometimes I'll even tell them to, I don't want to say skip the reading altogether, but that's how much I think it's important to do it. But you are not reading for content. You're exposing your brain to the words on the page and the material on the page. That's it. All the rest of it's going to come in with listening to the lectures, and then actually doing the work is what's going to make those ideas and concepts concrete in your mind. So I skim it, don't take notes, don't highlight, don't read word for word.
Yeah. Amanda, what's your thought?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I hung on to in that question was, I'm not learning the material. you're not reading the outlines to learn the material. No one's going to read an outline and then I'm going to be able to test you on all the elements of adverse possession. That's just not how you learn. And I do know there are courses out there that say read the outline, learn the outline. And that's also maybe comes from law school too, outline, learn. But I think the big secret in law school is that's actually not how you learn. Unless you're using the outline as a tool, you're not going to be at the top of the class. So then you have these kind of bad habits because everyone got through law school and struggled. And so we think, I read the outline, shouldn't I know it? I need to take more time with my outline, but it's not the best way to learn. So just rid that part from your mind. You're not reading the outline and expected to know it after you read it.
Yeah, I think that's true. And so take that pressure off yourself. It's a lot of pressure to understand. I wrote the stupid things and I don't go back and look at them and go, huh? So it's clearly not something where you should try to finish. And the timeframes are not designed for you to read, see Dick run, see Jane jump. It's just not built that way. And so you shouldn't try to force it into that. So that's my advice. And I think we're all in agreement there. All right. Next question was an interesting one. Are the multi-states, the MBEs assigned for each subject sufficient practice, or do I need outside resources? Amanda, what do you think?
No, you don't need any outside resources. Don't go. There is so much information in the course. I don't know why students do this, right? I don't even think I know all the information in the course. I don't think Brianna knows all the information in the course. I don't even know if Jackson knows all the information in the course, right? And you could never know all the information in this course. So don't go outside of the course looking for it. It's all here for you. It's all here for you.
Yeah. Brianna?
Yeah, you guys, the first time I used Celebration Bar Review, I became a victim to this. I felt like I was struggling with the MBE. So I was like, I'm going to go find this course that's just on the MBE. And it is only going to distract you. I failed. Guess what? Do not do it. Follow the CBR method, follow the syllabus, go in order. I promise you, all of the content you need in order to pass this exam is within Celebration Bar Review. Don't do it.
Okay, there you go. You've heard it from them.
I want to say something. I talked about this last week on my call. Stop chasing this golden egg. There is no golden egg. If there was a quick, easy, cap it, quit it, know it, boom, pass, Jackson would have discovered it and we'd be selling it and we'd all be millionaires. And that is the truth. He has got it down to the little snippets you need. Don't go chasing the golden egg.
Okay, there you go. My life's work. All right, next question. Thank you very much. Next question asked about bar maps. Bar maps is a product that we created a few years ago in which we've taken and created mind maps for every subject, both in your MBE and state course. And we've included fast finish audio versions of the lectures. These are compressed versions of the audio section of the lectures. And we've got timestamps in the video lectures so you can find specific topics. And we just call all of that bar maps. This is the time when you might want to add bar maps to your course to give you some additional resources, particularly mind mapping. If you're struggling with that, they're all there for you. So bar maps is a product and we would encourage you to register and get access to that. Along those same lines, we had another question where a student said, what's the package where you can listen to a quick review on the rules of law for the 7 MBE subjects? And that is called the MBE Video Nutshells. These are 25-minute hyper compressed versions of the nutshells for MBE, the 7 MBE subjects. They flash on the screen really fast. It's built for the non-conscious, not the conscious brain. And 25 minutes, you can get through an entire subject. I know a lot of people sometimes at the end want that super condensed hyper review. That's what it is. You don't want to get there too soon. Amanda, I'll go to you on this. It's like you're right at the point right now at 5 weeks out where you might be thinking about it, but boy, 2 weeks from now, you're really going to want it, don't you think?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jackson. You're like right there. And I think it's good we're talking about it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you should be thinking about those things. These are resources that you can use. Not everybody needs all of them, but bar maps and video nutshells are tools that I've created over the years because I think they just meet a particular need at a particular time. So we're bar maps right now, nutshells in a couple of weeks would be my recommendation. All right. Next question. For the multi-state performance test, are there drafter point sheets available? And the answer is for the recent exams for the last few years, yes. I just want to say, with respect to performance tests, I think we've now reached a point. If you are in Georgia, UBE, or California, my recommendation is to write an MPT a week from now until the exam. I just think having the experience of doing these under time conditions, getting used to them, makes a difference. Brianna, what's your thought about that?
Oh, couldn't agree more. I did more NPTs than necessary, mostly because I struggled a lot with finding my organization.
Yeah.
I was all over the place. I knew that I needed a little bit more work in that area. So I think it's a great idea to do one every week between now and the bar exam, just to give yourself more exposure and more opportunity to hone in on those skills of being able to put the words on paper, have your grader be able to follow logically.
Yeah, this is the time to be doing that. So just wanted to get that out there. All right, a couple other quick questions, and Tracy and I are going to talk a little bit here at the end. Next question came from a student that's got a basic coaching course with us and wanted to know, is there an option to have my essays evaluated? There is an option to have us coach your writing. And the option is you can work with Brianna or Amanda in the UBE. You can work with Tracy in California. You can work with me in any jurisdiction. And we've got those options for coaching calls. If you do coaching calls with me, it's 8 coaching calls, half hour in length, Zoom calls, and we record them. If you are working with Tracy, Amanda, or Brianna, you get 10 calls for the same price, and it's a bonus. And just so you know, I check in, I watch to see how those are going. I look at the work that's being sent to these coaches to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So you're not getting anything less with any of these 3. You're actually probably getting more in many respects. So we encourage you to do that. The student said, can I add that option now? And the answer is yes. And this is the time to do that. You can pay over a 12-month period, or you can pay a single discounted fee. And it's the same price to work with me or any of these 3 other incredibly talented coaches. The difference is only that you get 2 extra calls with them. So and I guess the question is, should you get this writing assistance? So let me throw that out to you, Amanda. Is there a value to getting the writing assistance at this point?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think I used it about this time. And I think I even might have said in my coaching call, you could see how you're doing and then sign up for 8 calls if you feel like, all right, I'm doing more practice essays because I've gotten through substantive content. So I really want to do that. I tried to write my first essay on my own and quickly realized that I was not going to be able to do it on my own. And if I have time to say one other thing that I'm always bringing in, like the equity portion of the bar exam, I'm always talking about that. And I do think it's
Yeah.
good to acknowledge that, right, people are thinking, I have to spend extra money on this, right? I think I love that CBR, and that's why I stand behind it, has found a way to make things relatively affordable for non-traditional students. And the other thing I would say is I had that same issue, right? I wasn't working as a lawyer when I took the exam. The first time, right when I took New York, you can't get blood from a stone. I literally did not have any money or any ability to get a loan for the bar exam. So I did not take a course. But I also have done, because of how I grew up, low SES, low socioeconomic status, I've done a lot of work with like money mindset coaching. And so ask yourself, if you're in that position where money is an issue, can I do this? Can I actually not do this financially? Am I in a position where I don't have $10 and no ability to pay over time? Or am I not purchasing this because I have been conditioned not to invest in myself and only invest for my basic needs?
Mm.
Because I find that in group coaching, right? And no one talks about that. No one talks about the bar student who's just trying to use flashcards because they're like, I can't spend this money. So there's a difference between not having it and believing in yourself and saying, I'm going to invest in myself. And I know after the bar, I'm getting a job and I can pay this off. And I thank you, Jackson, for making that possible for all of us who needed that. And I did pay over time. So I just would say that to people who are considering that financially. And I had to do a lot of work, inner work, to get to that place. And I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I know it's a
that's
digression, but I think it's good to talk
no, it's really
about.
important. It's really important to talk about. One of the things that we did specifically, there are companies out there that you could fill out a credit app for your bar review. Going to do that to people? That's just outrageous, right? So we don't do that. So we've got a 12-month payment plan, and there's no credit check, and you just pay over time. It's part of bringing underrepresented voices into the bar, and it's always been our philosophy. And so I'm glad we can do that. And I think what happens at this moment is that we're 5 weeks out. People say, hey, is there enough time? The answer to that is yes, there is enough time. All of the coaches have enough openings, including me, that we can get all your calls in just fine. I'm not worried about that in the least. Then the second question is, do I want to invest in myself? And I've had students who said, I just can't afford it. And just as Amanda said, and then we talk about it and they go, you know what? I can pay a couple $100 a month, spread it out over a year. I can invest in myself this way. And it's an affirmation. In addition, it's frankly going to improve your results. You can't help but get better by having somebody else look at your work and talk to you. And these folks are all talented. And I've obviously been doing this for all of my adult life, and we're good at it. We know how to get you the results that you need. So don't shortchange yourself that way. And then finally, if you're a licensed attorney, if you're busy, right? And I think Brianna and Amanda could both speak to this very easily. The value of your time is so great. I don't know, having me or having one of these folks assess your work in 30 minutes is probably way more valuable than you spending 3 hours trying to self-assess. Do you agree, Brianna? There's a value here.
Oh, absolutely. Every single week that I would join a call or do a new essay with you, my essay writing skills would get sharper and sharper. We would focus on something different. And I think it's absolutely worth it. And just to add a little bit onto the investing into yourself aspect of it, I know a lot of you have kids. Someone once basically told me, said, if you would purchase this or invest this in for your children, do it for yourself. And that was just, oh my gosh, like I've put my kids above myself. It's time to invest in myself the same way that I would with them.
That's great. I appreciate all that. And I think there's a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom there. We've been circling around all of this today, talking about investing in yourself and what your future looks like. Tracy had suggested to me that we should talk a little bit about something that you called the bright and beautiful future. You want to kick us off with that a little bit?
Yeah, it follows right behind what Amanda and Brianna were both talking about investing in yourself. You have to look at the bar review as another law school course that you're going to pay for. Your law school adventure is not over until you sit down to take and pass the bar. So this is not something extraneous. This isn't like getting massages that you can buy a package. This is part of your law school career, whether you graduated from law school one time ago or not. This is your last class that you need to take for law school. So it's not optional, folks. When you look into your bright and beautiful future, you have to figure first, I deserve this. I need this. This will help me. And this will create the first stepping stone to that bright and beautiful future. What I'd like you to do right now in the chat box is write what you want to do in the field of law. Where do you see yourself in the field of law? Are you going to be a trial attorney? Are you going to work with low income families to get government benefits that they're entitled to that they don't have access to? Are you going to work with underrepresented persons and try to get equity for them? Where are you seeing yourself? And go ahead and put it in the chat box. And then that is your bright and beautiful future that you need to live into. And the way you do that is by passing this exam. You are successful. You're not a failure. You have the tools. The tools are right here for you. But every time you have one of those panic attacks where you get stressed out, what I really want you to do, and June teaches us too, is just sit back, put down all your implements, sit back and envision your bright and beautiful future. Because you know what? You are lawyers already. You're not licensed to practice yet, but you're lawyers and you're professionals. And all you need to do is go over this hurdle, and then you can live into that bright and beautiful future. And the first step in living into your bright and beautiful future is to sit down and be successful at this exam. I'm hearing about parent-child advocacy, IEP meetings for low-income families, practice public service law, representing those who couldn't afford representation, ideally fighting anti-LGBTQ discrimination, personal injury, premise liability, a focus on women and children, helping small businesses with their needs. This is all stuff that the world needs. This is all stuff that the law practice needs. You are the bright and beautiful future of law. And so step into that. accept that role, take on that yoke, and follow this process, and then sit down, replace the stress with that vision of your bright and beautiful future, and show these bar examiners why you are a lawyer and what you're going to do with it as you go forward.
Yeah, we talk a lot about posture, right? And I don't mean
Mm.
sitting up straight, but a posture that you bring to this process. And I know Amanda and Brianna have heard me say this and they laugh at me sometimes. I think you should dress like a lawyer when you go to the bar exam. This is your life. This is what you're doing. This is your new future. And I think there's a value to going to the exam ready to do work, right? You're here for business. You're ready to, and I don't know if you have to wear your pearls necessarily, but be comfortable, but also doing that work that says, this is important to me. Right? And I'm here to show that I'm ready for the exam. It also has just a couple side benefits. One is the proctors will treat you much better. And secondly, you will freak out everyone around you. They will think, oh my God, what are you doing here? But I think more than that, it's not just the way you dress. I think every day before you start your studies, I love to take the hero pose, right? You take your pose, whatever it might be, if you're Wonder Woman, wherever, and you put yourself in this mindset of being successful. I can't begin to tell you as a teacher what it means to me to see Amanda and Brianna and others who have been former students. And I'm looking at Brianna, and in the background, she's got a sign up that says grit. And I know if you want grit, that's your grit girl. And I know that Amanda just absolutely knocks it out of the park, right? And she's doing all these wonderful things in her law practice and managing the practice. And I see the ripple effect that these individuals make in their legal practice. I'm thrilled that they share that here at CBR. I know what Tracy's done in 40 years as a pastor, as a judge, as an attorney, being able to share that expertise here in this course. And so really, we are creating these ripples, and we've created these ripples for decades now. I just got an email from a guy, and I wanted to share this with you. He's 71 years old. He passed the Cal Bar with us 7 years ago. And he wrote to me this week and he said, you're not going to believe this. I just got my dream job at age 71. I'm doing this legal practice and I'm doing FLA writing and everyone loves it. The judges love it. My clients love it. Everybody loves it. He said, here it is all these years later. And what I learned to do in the bar review is what I'm doing every day in work. And I'm living my dream and getting to do this. I'm so excited when I see that's the bright and beautiful future. And it can happen for you at age 71 as easily as it can happen at age 24. And so I want you, as we turn the corner to this 5th week into the exam, to approach it with positive expectancy, not with stress and anxiety and panic attacks, but with enthusiasm that in 5 weeks, you get to show the world that you're ready to practice law. And that's a pretty exciting place to be. Do you agree, Tracy?
Oh, absolutely. All my years on the bench, I've had brilliant people come in front of me. I've had people that maybe wouldn't put themselves up in that brilliant category. But what makes the difference is preparation. Preparation is the game. And that's what you need to be about this next 5 weeks. You go in prepared. You're so far down the road if you go in prepared. I don't care how brilliant you are. If you don't do the work, you probably will not be successful on the exam. But if you do the work, you will be successful on this exam. It's like your first court case that you get to go and try for 2 days. That's basically what it is before a tribunal. And so if you're prepared, you can go in there and do that work and do it well and show that you are deserving to be a lawyer.
Yeah. June, do you want to add to that?
I do. I do. I just want to say and show up excited because your past self wished to be here. And now you are here. And so show up so your future self can thank you.
I like that. I like that. It's fun to watch Brianna and Amanda because just looking at their current selves, but I'm also thinking about past selves. Got to be a weird thing, Brianna, to be sitting here on this side.
Yeah. And Really funny, you guys. Y'all, I almost feel like I was in your shoes again these past 2 weeks, going into my very first jury trial ever, terrified. You guys, no idea what to expect. And it's not just a 1 or 2 day trial, it was 5 days long. And then having to prepare for that and be able to pull in all those emotions and feelings and the stress and be able to prepare, review depositions, review my rules of civil procedure. And coming out of it right now is very similar to coming out of the bar exam. The experience by itself just reminded me of why I am doing this, why I went through everything I went through. You can do this. Nobody gets to tell you how big your dreams get to be. You are worth it. You go after your dreams and make them all come true, because getting here is so worth it. We are rooting for every single one of you. But like Tracy said, you can't get here unless you do the work.
Yeah, there you go. Amanda, I'm going to give you the last word today. What do you want to about this? You've been listening.
I guess I'll just go back to what I'm always chirping about over here, is that being on the other side for me means I get to help people to the other side, make sure that there are different voices and different faces in the bar. And June knew that was my why when we talked, right? I wanted to help people from different backgrounds get to the other side. And it feels great to be able to do that now and also have my own practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so proud of all of you guys. It's great to see you all. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, all of you. We will be back next Wednesday. We'll be at 4 weeks, and that's when it starts to get really real. You'll start getting daily email messages if you're in our course from me. So watch for those. They'll start this Sunday, and we will start tuning down on a daily basis. And believe it or not, 30 days is a really long time. But right now, we've still got 5 weeks. We're in good shape. And I hope that this was helpful for all of you today. Thank you, Tracy, for your insights as well. And Amanda and Brianna, great to have all of you here. June, as always, good to see you. Great to be with you. Hope everybody has a good study week. Hope everybody has a productive and great study week. And we'll see you all again next Wednesday. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.